Social media refers to a collection of technologies that really came into their own in the early noughts, right? 2004, 2005 is sort of usually referred to as its birth, that allowed people to communicate in very easy ways.
Kind of this read-write culture, there are a lot more people able to produce their ideas, to get ideas across, to interact with people they could never interact with before.
In social media, it's an opportunity for people to have a conversation, a broad-based conversation or an intimate conversation with people within platforms such as Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, and to do it in real time and to be able to have an authentic conversation that's not face-to-face but yet is still authentic.
But now it's morphed into more than social, it's workplace, it's pretty much any other way that you can think about using it.
As a director of honors, one of my primary functions is to provide opportunities to students. And doing that requires providing them with information about where the opportunity is, when it is, and all of that. And so, since I think of social media as primarily professorial, academic kind of space, it was very easy for me to say, I'll use social media to provide these opportunities to students.
The reason that social media is important for us to embrace nowadays is because we know that that's where our audiences are. That's where they're functioning, that's where they gather their information, that's where they communicate with the people that they care about. We know that we can reach a broad range of audiences through our various social media platforms. We know that through Facebook we can reach a broad audience, we can reach older people that have an affinity for the university, and yet we know that we can still reach some younger people. Platforms like Twitter, and Facebook, and Snapchat, we can engage with our younger audiences and we can get the information in front of them that they need to have to be as knowledgeable as they can be about what's going on at Ferris, and at the same time engage them to find out what they want, how they want it, and gives us a better opportunity to deliver the kind of content that they want. And so you talk about reaching audiences, you need to find the method that's most effective, the methods that are most effective, and one of those methods is definitely social media.
They don't read emails, they being the population of people that we are trying to reach, so current students and potential students. If they don't read emails and they don't read snail mail, because we know the snail mail gets opened by the parents, how on earth are we going to communicate? We have so many great things going on. We know they're going to love it here, so what do? The only way we're going to be successful is with social media.
Most of our students now think, at least I feel like they think, in a kind of information immediacy environment. And that's probably related to the cell phones and texting and all of that. But you want to find the information when you want to find it, right? And so you have to have a structure set up where that is, you provide the initial context so that it puts it in the mind, but provides some kind of trail back to the full information. If you're walking across campus and you see a flyer up, you think, oh, that looks interesting, I'll look it up later, right? And that's what we're doing with social media. We're putting out just a little bit of information on their Twitter stream or on their Facebook so that it gets a part of their normal information lifestyle, right? So it comes across their feed and they say, oh, that looks interesting, I might look it up later. And they can favorite it or they can save it, or right then they can click the link and then bookmark the page so that they can come back when they have the time and look more carefully at the opportunity.
We study analytics very aggressively because we know that our insights, our analytics are going to help us to shape the content in the best way possible for our audiences.
A lot of the platforms have their own analytic tools built in. So for Facebook, on a Facebook page, it's like the Insight tab that you get access to, and it tells you about average interactions with stuff, how many follows you have. One of the things that we find particularly useful is you can have some benchmark pages to compare yourselves against, so you can see how other pages that you would like to emulate are doing.
The insights, the analytics, they tell us everything from when is the best time to post, when is a type of post maybe not being received well by your audience, So for example, if you love Throwback Thursday, but it's not working for your audience, then maybe it's the type of pictures that you're using, or maybe it's just not working for your audience. And so we can figure out those kinds of things through studying insights over a period of time. And you don't want to make a snap judgment based on something that happens in your insights, but if you study them over the course of maybe weeks or months, you can get a better sample size to better understand how your content is being received by your audiences. It's really important for anybody that's a social media manager to make sure that you're studying your analytics, your insights. That's going to help you to shape your content in the best way possible, to deliver it to your audience in the way that they want it, and to deliver it to your audience when they want it.
For one, the social media platform will most of the time not give you the raw data, right? So you can get it in some, but most of the time it's going to be massaged data already. So you'll get it in charts and graphs and not in raw data form. But another is it's a lot of the data that you get is carried by the user who clicked, right? So if a user is logged into Facebook, Facebook knows all of this information about them. And when they click on something, that carries that information with it to you. So on the back end, either on the analytics of Facebook or on the blog, you see the gender and the age and all these kinds of things, right? So you don't have to put those into survey form, right? For example, on our Facebook page, we see a lot of traffic from 35 to 45-year-old women, right? Moms, essentially. And moms really like the posts that we have about service opportunities. And so we know that our current students, if they're not seeing this, are seeing it because their moms are telling them to see it. Right? So again, we have a kind of a secondary audience. Our primary audience is our current students, but we have a secondary audience of their parents who are watching our feed and looking for opportunities that might be good for their students. Other things, for example, when we put out courses on the blog, you can look at relative interest in your courses depending on how many people have read about the thing. So a course will go out and it will go out with just a little bit of information, but there's a nice image and there's better description on the blog. So the number of people who come back indicate the level of interest for that course. And I've been doing this for a few years and it does correlate with enrollment. If you look at the number of clicks that go to a course and the number of people who've registered within 24 hours, which is the early registration period for honors, you have a correlation with a p-value about 0.6. It's not that great of data, but it is interesting enough, and it's solid enough that I can open another section of a course or close a section of a course if we don't have enough interest. And that's prior to registration, which is something that deans would love. All the deans that I know are desperate to predict which sections should be opened and closed. And this is one way of getting a preview, at least, of that information.
Right now, when we post about things, A, it doesn't get to the class level. B, if we talk about scheduling and things like that, it's usually, hey, scheduling is next week, have you seen your advisor kind of thing. So right now, we're building the schedule for the fall of 2019, right? Because you start registering next week for spring. That's been built for months. So should we be reaching out via social media right now to students to say, hey, what kind of classes would you like to see? We haven't used social media that way. We totally could.
One of the dangers of analytics is that if you post, a cute picture of a bulldog on a Wednesday and say, happy hump day, you're gonna get thousands of likes and retweets. And a lot of places will chase those likes and retweets because that's the only metric that they use. So they're only interested in the most popular, the most liked, and they're not looking at the most useful. And so if you look at only the metrics of likes and retweets, you end up kind of superficial, right? All your posts are just sort of happy Friday, right? If we're conveying information, we need to keep in mind that information usability is really important in these areas. And people aren't going to come back for a series of just happy Friday posts. They might be the most popular, you need to mix them in, but they're not going to follow you if you're not providing real information. The catch, of course, is that a lot of the posts that are real information, people aren't going to like, right? Because they see it, they remember it, they might look it up later, but they're not going to say that's an awesome post, right? They're not going to give that kind of feedback. That's part of the reason why I track clicks, right? Because clicks are about getting more information. They're interested enough to take an action rather than just views. But if you run any social media account for a short period of time, you'll quickly learn that cute dogs and cats get far more likes and retweets than anything else. But you can't go just there. There are accounts that do that, and that's great, and they can live that way. But you have to also provide the useful information and know that the metrics are going to be a little bit different. The metrics by which you judge useful posts are the number of clicks that come back, right? Not the number of times it was viewed or liked. As long as you stay within each domain and look at data in relation to other data from that domain, you'll be fine. So if you look at your blog and you see more hits today, more clicks today than yesterday, that means something. But if you look at your blog and you say, oh, I have 35 clicks, that means nothing, right? It's only in relation to other days or other groups that you can find meaning in this data. And that's true in most data. I wouldn't compare views on Twitter directly to views on Facebook, but I would compare views on Twitter on post A to views on Twitter on post B. And that would be a meaningful comparison. We know our target market as administrators, as current students. We remember that there are prospective students watching, but we know who our target market is. And so getting that information from Facebook can be very helpful in refining what percentage of our students are we hitting, what kind of interest do we have in our various opportunities, and all that kind of thing.
So recently the College of Arts and Sciences partnered up with the Roop Lecture Series, which is a small endowment that we have. And this particular event happened on campus. It happened here at the UC. Lots of students came, something like 80-something odd students came. But this was about the opioid crisis and how they're affected by it and what steps we might be able to do to help. And so we thought that this has value beyond like just this small community campus of 80-some odd students. So we took the step of making use of Facebook and doing a live stream of it and setting it up in the UC so that we could broadcast this out. We ended up with something like 500 people got to see this. And the opioid crisis that's a big deal. And so the fact that we were able to impact more than the people just in that room, the analytics suggested that we impacted people outside of the state of Michigan.
I was stunned at the number of people that interacted not just with the live tweeting, but also with the feed, like the live feed. So I can tell you right now that for every event that we do, we're going to be doing that.
We do need to do it better. We do some, but Ferris, like most places, the primary theme is student life and recreation and sports. And that's true at almost all universities. That's their massive messaging systems are set up to do that. They're not set up to give out information about academics. No, we're getting better, right? The College of Arts and Sciences has put an effort to get the academic side of our Twitter presence up, and that's great, and we want to see more of it. Our theater does a really good job of getting out information about their plays and their cast members, but we, as a university, we haven't really built an infrastructure where we can do this systematically. And that's what I think universities really ought to do.
It's really important that people understand the power of social media and the way that it can help you to reach important audiences that you need to reach to get across the messages that you want to get.
If that's where our students are, if that's where their parents are, we need to be there too. And we need to give the opportunities that we give as a university. And those opportunities include coursework. They include service opportunities. They include, yes, student life and football. But the main thing that colleges do is provide opportunities for courses. And that should be one of the main messages that's coming out of our social media streams.